But let's go ahead and not waste any time here. Let's get into a little Austin FC, the hometown team. All right, it was a historic night in Seattle for Austin FC as they recorded the first nil-nil draw in club history. David, you might want to make a T-shirt for this, the first ever nil-nil draw. I know you love those. But despite not finding the back of the net for a third straight match, Austin FC earning a point away to the top team in the Western Conference. I mean, it should be considered a very good result. Jorge, do you agree? And what did you make of the match?
Yeah, I mean, we really need to temper some of the enthusiasm from some of the fan base, because they, expect Austin to win every single game and dominate. And you got to realize we're a first team expansion. These guys have only played 6 games together, 7 now. They're still learning how to play, in this new system with Josh Wolf. But nonetheless, I mean, it was an impressive game. I mean, they didn't park the bus. They kept playing their game, that their style that they're used to. They had a couple of good chances, really, and let's be fair. VAR giveth, VAR take it away. I mean, last week
I thought the exact same thing.
Yeah, VAR took a goal away from Austin FC, and today it took a goal away from Sounders. Then looking at the replay, yeah, Raul Ruiz did sort of interfere, and he was, offside, so it was a good call. But they still had their chances. They had a lot of good tactics. I thought they really stymied Raul Ruiz. I hardly heard his name mentioned all night. And there were a couple of chances, obviously, because Raul Ruiz is Raul Ruiz, so he creates chances for himself sometimes. But they did well. I mean, they did do a tactical or a personnel change. Hosen stayed in Austin, apparently some sort of injury, so he did not travel. So they moved Cecilio to central attacker, and they added Gallagher on one side and Stroud on the other. And I thought it was experimental. They probably some errors here and there, but because they hadn't played those positions before, but they provided some attack. I mean, it made Cecilio more free to create different plays that sometimes they worked and they didn't, but it was a different look. And I think that kind of surprised Seattle a little bit, that they, there was a lot of pressure from, it wasn't a sustained pressure from Seattle. They sort of had their ebbs and flows of attacking, and then they sort of, started passing and then attack. So they're trying to figure out Austin FC's defense, and for their tactics worked. I mean, we got out of there with a 1 point, and that's a plus.
Yeah, most definitely. Only 2 shots on target from Seattle. I think that's really impressive to go on the road in Seattle and limit the Sounders like that. Arush, this was the first time we got to see a starting front three of Cecilio Dominguez playing centrally with John Gallagher on the left and then Jared Stroud on the right. What did you make of this front three? Is this something you'd like to continue to see going forward?
Yep, definitely. I think this is the lineup that, in my opinion, might stick. It actually gives Austin FC more options. So Cecilio can sit back a little bit, play as a false number 9, or he can make those runs. He's also a pacey player. And with Stroud and Gallagher providing him the width and the pace and the hard-working attitude that they both bring, I think it does give Austin FC more options in attack. But I think a midfield is going to have to step up with this front three to create those chances for them and have them touch those balls in those dangerous areas. So front three I think was working well at times, but most of the game I think they were not being given the service that they needed. So that, as Jorge pointed out, this team is still learning to play together. That with games going on will improve, in my opinion. So yeah, this front three, we would like to see more games, more communications, and more coordination from them.
Yeah, one thing that I wanted to mention here. So I was kind of looking over the stats after the match, and Cecilio actually had 38 touches in this match. And so I wanted to compare that with what Danny Houston had been doing. And Danny Houston was only averaging 17 touches per 90 minutes in the time that he's played. So I think what the profile of number 9 that Josh Wolf is looking for, he wants a striker that drops into midfield, links up play, combines with those midfielders, and gets a lot of touches. Danny Houston, like on paper, he is that kind of striker. That's I think one of the reasons why he was brought over from San Jose, but we just haven't seen enough of it. And so I think what you saw with Cecilio, 38 touches, that's a pretty good amount of touches for a center forward. So I thought that was pretty impressive. And the other thing that you mentioned there, Arush, was the midfielders. And I think in general, Cecilio was dropping deep and that was working really well, but we weren't seeing enough of those like outside to in runs from the wingers. And so Cecilio was vacating that space, but you weren't having anyone attacking the space in behind him. And I think you weren't seeing that from the wingers and you weren't seeing that from the midfielders. And someone I saw get some criticism on the broadcast as well as on social media was Tomas Pochettino.
Yeah.
There were kind of calls for him to move higher up the pitch. They were saying he's playing too close to Alex Ring. David, I want to bring you in here. In terms of Tomas Pochettino, do you agree that he needs to be a bit more aggressive with his positioning and perhaps play a bit higher up the pitch? And just in general, how would you rate his performances overall this season?
Well, I think I will rate it very poor.
David, something's
it's
happened to you, David. You have just become.
Performance. I gotta tell you, like last game, I think was awful. He played so bad. Not only that, but he was calling the other players. He was calling Ring to play back. And instead of playing forward, he wanted Ring to play back. And Ring had a shot. Like he didn't listen to him. And Ring just like went ahead and took a shot. And it's like that's what it shows. Like Pochettino is afraid. I don't think we need somebody else. He's not up there, honestly. And I don't think that we're doing that good up there. We don't have much of a possession of the game, in 43% possession, 12 shot out of 14 shot for the Sounders, and 43% in control. And I don't know.
David, it sounds like you're a bit more down on this performance than the rest of us here. So us three seem to think, hey, a point away at Seattle, that's a pretty good result. You seem less impressed. Is that fair to say?
It's very, very fair to say. I'm very
You're not a nil-nil guy. It doesn't matter the context. You're not a nil-nil guy.
But really, Gallagher did not do much, right? Gallagher, he just he had the chances, he didn't do it. Pochettino was like he didn't know what to do. When he got the ball, he didn't know what to do, and he would mess it up. Cecilio Dominguez, come on. I mean, Cecilio is the main, supposed to be the main guy, right? He's supposed to be with Pochettino. They're the DPs, right? Designated players. And both of them, they're not doing it. I mean, they're not showing they are the DPs. So that's the bottom of it. So I think
I think in defense to Gallagher, he's playing kind of a new position here. He's not really played out on the left wing. I think they mentioned on the broadcast he had played some like wing back with Atlanta United, but otherwise he's not played, as a left winger, certainly not for Austin FC. So I would cut him a bit of slack, but I agree. Particularly in the first half, he wasn't doing a lot out there. And again, I think that was one of the issues. I think Cecilio was coming deep and getting involved in midfield, and that was good. But if your center forward is dropping deep and no one's running into that space and behind him, there's not really much point in it then. Then you just are leaving the most important area of the pitch empty. So, and that's not good either.
Overall, we have a good tie because it was Seattle and they're on the top of the league, but they didn't have Lodeiro, right? They didn't have Lodeiro. They didn't have Capocacci either.
He's injured,
So two very experienced players, they did not have them, and Montero, is the same, and Rui Diaz too. Montero scored with the VAR help us over there a little bit, but other than that, if that would have been a goal, we would have been in deep trouble. So I think playing as a visit, I think it's a great performance by Austin. But from my point of view, I want to see a team that really can. If you had that chance, so many chances against Seattle, you need to make it happen. Come on, 2, 3, or 4 chances we have open spaces and they did not concrete. So we need a forward. We need we need 11 forwards, people that just shoot at the goal with confidence. We don't have that. So we're short. I think that's what we are. We're short. Cecilio and Pochettino are not the DPs. And I think we need to get somebody in the summer. And I heard that somebody like Ake Loba is free in Monterrey, might be an option. So that would be a good option for the not for the DP, but it would be a good option to have a forward.
I think you're right, David. I do think the forward line just ultimately just needs a bit of strengthening. As much as I like Gallagher, as much as I like Stroud, Kakuta Mane, we have some good pieces. I don't know if anyone there really screams like great MLS legitimate goal scoring talent. I think we probably need to make some kind of move in the transfer market. So okay, I got a question for you here, Arush. David, I think I know what your answer to this question would be, but I want to get Arush's thoughts on this. So Austin FC, as you alluded to, 44% possession in this match. That's actually a pretty low number for Austin FC relative to how much possession they've had in other matches this season. But I actually thought this was one of just the stronger defensive performances from Austin FC. Could it be that having a little less possession might actually be a good thing for this team overall, considering how much Austin FC has struggled in transition defense?
Yeah, definitely. As a Barcelona fan, I understand possession isn't everything. In so many games that Austin FC has lost, they had more possession, but they had at times just empty possession. They had the ball, but nothing much was happening. So if you have the ball and you know what to do, that's what matters. But I do want to allude to Pochettino's role. I was watching Josh Wolf's press conference. It does surprise me as well, because in the press conference, he mentioned that he wants to see Pochettino in the box, taking more shots and be more attacking. And in the game, he was dropping back sometimes as deep as with Alex Ring side to side. So it kind of felt like maybe the tactics changed, or maybe they did want to get a point from Seattle. They were not going for the 3 points. Draw was enough, because I saw at times they had Fagundes made incredible runs. He passed the ball, and instead of keep moving forward, he just dropped back. So that to me looked like sometimes they were scared of the counter attacks. They didn't want to, got out of possession of the ball and did not want to give, silly goal away. So and especially the front three we're talking about changed. This was again a question asked from Josh Wolf that if Cecilio can play a number 9 and you want to change the system a little bit, and he outright ignored that question and he said he's not changing anything, and he went ahead and changed the front three and the roles of the players. So I think the tactics changed because we were playing Seattle and they were the best team in the league, and at times it looked like we were happy with the draw.
Yeah, and he had the injury to Houston as well. So it'll be interesting to see when Houston is fit, if he still goes with Cecilio as the number 9, or if Danny Houston slots right back in. So that'll be interesting to see. But yeah, I think
I don't know the extent of Houston's injury, if injury played a part in it, or if just tactics. But yeah, that might be another reason.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see. He actually didn't even make the trip to Seattle, Houston.
Yeah.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see once he is fully fit, if he comes back in. Because I think actually all of us here, I don't know about David, but us three, anyways, me, Jorge, and Arush all liked the idea of Cecilio playing in that number 9 position. So it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward.
I like it too. I mean, it's fine. But not
with Cecilio, I do want to point out I've noticed it last 3 or 4 games. He gets the ball from deep midfield. He creates the chances as well. So he likes to drop deep, as you said, sometimes. But when he has the ball and we have space, we're moving forward. More often than not, I see him taking the wrong options. So he has players on the left and the right. He tries to go by himself. He gets closed down by the players in that time, and we lose that clear-cut chance. It just turns into a simple block from the defensive team. So I do want to see that last split-second decision that he has to make improvement in that as well.
Well, the only thing I care about it is the fact that he tried to fake a penalty, and I do not appreciate that.
Did not like the dive, huh, David?
That shows lack of character from my.
Yeah, he's a bit of an embellisher, and I
cannot fake
like
a penalty like that.
I don't like that either. But at the same time, he does command respect. I mean, he did attract a lot of defenders towards him, but like Arush said, that should play to his advantage, because that's going to be less attention to the wingers, and he just didn't connect with them. And so it's a new position. He's played it before.
Do you think that could be a lack of trust in those wingers that maybe playing into that? Why he's maybe hesitant to go out there? Is it they're not making the right runs? What do you think it is that
I think it's just that he doesn't know their speed or doesn't know them in that position. So it'll be interesting to see. I mean, they have 12 days until the next game against Kansas City on the road again. So it'll be interesting to see.
Sounds like
both how Hosen comes back. Yeah.
On the road again.
And it'll be the last one before we finally get the first game. But it'll be interesting to see how the next couple of, the next 2 weeks we'll see the tactics. We'll see the, guys getting a little better.
But Jorge, we talked about earlier, I think those guys, Pochettino, Redes, and Cecilio, they all love yerba mate. I guess they are not having the yerba mate. They need to share the yerba mate, all of them,
They should add a little something to that or whatever.
I don't know what happened because everybody, they're both from the Paraguay, Uruguay, and Chile and Argentina. Yerba mate is like everybody drinks that, but usually they share it.
Yeah, because
they have to share it, but I don't think they have.
Because Fagundes, he's from that area of South America too, and he loves his mate. Five people. He showed up at one of the press conferences with his yerba mate drinking, so that's how much the love is. But yeah, I mean, because Fagundes has been the most consistent player by far of all the midfielders and forwards.
Yeah, so, I thought he had a nice match.
He did well, but they just need to all put it together. I mean, sometimes guys have good games, sometimes they don't, and it's just not. They're not. I think they're not coordinating their good games and bad games.
Okay, so we've actually gone pretty long here on this Austin FC segment. I want to make sure we get time to discuss the Champions League final. Got to make sure we have time to discuss that. Does anyone have any quick? I'm sorry, Rush. What did you say?
Do we need to do that, Eric?
Really? Oh, absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Absolutely.
Yes, we do.
Hey, come on. The Champions League was last Sunday.
Yeah, it's
still relevant. It's still very relevant, still very much in the news. Okay, but before we move on to that, any other final quick Austin FC points that anyone would like to add here?
Yeah, more similar.
No, we need to go talk about. Yeah, we want to talk about Chelsea right away.
Okay, David, love it. Love the attitude there. Okay.
Austin FC, un partido importantísimo donde Austin FC acaba de jugar contra Seattle Sounders, el equipo número 1 de Estados Unidos, con más invicto junto a Nashville. Sigue invicto con más goles, menos goles dados, ¿no? Pero parece que Austin pudo jugar de tú a tú. Le jugó de tú a tú al equipo de Seattle, Sebastián. ¿Cuál fue tu vista? ¿Qué piensas? Un resumen del partido y cuéntame cuál es tu crítica.
Claro, mira, primero que todo tengo que insistir, yo creo que los muchachos escuchan, como lo decimos, fútbol en vivo todas las semanas porque nos hacen caso y se ve reflejado, Jorge. Un empate ante Seattle, que ya lo dijiste, el mejor equipo de la conferencia oeste, que en lo personal sabe a victoria por cómo se venía jugando. Cambia, el mismo planteamiento, un 4-3-3, ahora sin Danny Hosen. Dicen que no viajó por una molestia, pero esperemos que aunque se reintegre al plantel siga así porque se ve un equipo más dinámico. Y no solo se empató, sino el FC tuvo más oportunidades de ganar el encuentro. Ahí tiene una Jared Stroud que desafortunadamente la para el arquero, pero yo vi unos muchachos totalmente revolucionados, un capitán Green que jugó bastante bien, que repartió el queso bien, recuperó el balón, vi un equipo diferente, con unas ganas de jugar y de ganar el partido que se necesitaban en Austin, ¿no? La verdad es que el partido pasado ante Nashville fue una prueba bastante deplorable para mí y creo que esto le sube el ánimo a todos los muchachos de Josh Wolf, a Josh también, para encarar ahora ante un equipo que es Kansas, que se necesita ganar para poder pelear en la conferencia oeste en las jornadas finales, ¿no? Y ya conociendo al equipo, ya viéndolo enfrentado y como parteaguas este partido que se le empata y se le juega bastante bien a Seattle, creo que el equipo de aquí apunta para la alza, David. La verdad es que yo me quedo con un buen sabor de boca, un empate que para mí sabe a victoria.
Pues eso sí les da mucha confianza, ¿verdad? El poder, no solamente jugar al tú por tú, porque no se vieron totalmente inhabilitados, ¿verdad? El Austin FC fueron muy competitivos, no yo lo comparo con el partido de Kansas City, donde sí se vio claramente que Kansas City era mucho mejor, ¿verdad? Estaban atacando más. Y Seattle no tanto, ¿verdad? Una cosa interesante, como mencionaste, es que Jose se quedó en casa por una lesión. Y obviamente se ve la diferencia entre Jose jugando como atacante central y poniendo a Cecilio como central, porque Cecilio va más al frente, Jose se queda más atrás, así que simplemente son diferentes jugadores, pero se ve la confianza, ¿verdad? Una cosa que mencionamos en la porción de inglés es que una cosa que le falta a Cecilio es que al irse más al frente, todavía tiene esa mentalidad y es buena de tratar de meter el gol, ¿verdad? No vio mucho al lado izquierdo o derecho donde estaban Gallagher y Stroud, y quizás pudo haber trabajado un poquito más, pero es una posición nueva, ¿verdad? Que le pidieron que jugara y pues me gusta esta formación, ¿verdad? Creo que es una formación que es más al estilo que Josh Wolf quiere, porque siempre dice, ¿verdad? Que quiere una formación que ataca, que ataca, y Hosen simplemente no es ese tipo de jugador. Él se queda atrás.
Ahora que los interrumpa, creo que esto también lo que comentas, Jorge, y lo que nos deja el partido es que sí necesitamos un número 9. No lo estamos encontrando como calidad en Danny Hosen, sin embargo, sí nos arroja que necesitamos a alguien que sepa jugar de espaldas, que se asocie, que haga paredes y que esté como punto fijo en el área para rematar. Y eso lo tenemos que buscar ya en el mercado de fichajes. Tienen que traer ya al jugador franquicia, porque con un 9 que sepa jugar y con un 9 efectivo van a empezar a funcionar y a destacar mucho más jugadores, ya lo dijiste, Jorge, como Stroud, Gallagher, Mané, cuando entre Fagundes. Va a ser un equipo totalmente diferente, pero se necesita, y lo demuestra para mí en este partido, como lo dices también, Jorge, un número 9 que sea referente, un jugador franquicia nos surge en Austin y esperemos que, bueno, ya lo puedan traer a casa, ¿no?
Sí, fue bueno el empate, tomando en cuenta que Seattle es de los mejores equipos de la liga y sobre todo jugando de visitante. Ya hemos jugado de visitante varios partidos, eso generalmente va a cansar a cualquier equipo, pero como dice usted, ¿no? Falta un delantero, falta alguien que dé el último pase, como dice mi amigo aquí, mi compañero Arroyo. Dice que Cecilio y Pochettino no han demostrado merecer el rol del DP. No han demostrado ser los jugadores que deberían ser, ¿no? Creo que están al debe y este verano se ve que tenemos un equipo corto, porque hubieron oportunidades contra Seattle y no se concretaron. Pochettino perdió demasiadas bolas, siempre tratando de jugar retrasado, no tuvo buena comunicación con el otro mediocampista, y cuando tuvo la oportunidad no desequilibró. Yo creo que está Cecilio y Pochettino siguen al debe, y dicen que por ahí que hay un delantero marfileño, Aquel Loba,
Sí.
está en la vista de la MLS y puede estar en Austin, Houston o los Timbers, pero jugaba...
Está en Monterrey, ¿verdad?
En Rayados, está en Rayados.
Yes.
Y no juega, no tiene minutos en Rayados, y tú sabes, Rayados tuvo un tremendo fracaso, ¿no? Que con un gran entrenador, Aguirre, supuestamente no la hizo. Sería una buena opción, pero no necesariamente para ocupar una posición del jugador destacado, ¿no? De DP. Yo creo que todavía esos otros dos jugadores podríamos cambiar. No sé, Pochettino, para mí, no, como dije en la primera parte, no están tomando mate, no falta la hierba mate de Pochettino. Todos los paraguayos, los uruguayos, los argentinos, no sé, hay que invitar a los colombianos y a los ticos también ahí, pero no sé. Pero
sí,
no sé,
pues
no hay
algo, ¿verdad?
conexión, no hay peligro de gol. No vemos peligro de gol, no vemos tiros al arco. No sé, eso es el gran problema de Austin. Para mí jugaron decente, pero con la gran oportunidad de haber ganado este partido.
Sí,
si alguien metía la pelota, ganábamos el partido, así de simple. Pero sí, bueno, no da un buen sabor, como decimos, tiene un buen sabor a boca, yo creo, porque se le jugó de tú a tú a uno de los mejores equipos. Sin Lodeiro, obviamente, que está lesionado.
Sí, sin Lodeiro. Pero, pues pero rescatar algo positivo, ¿verdad?
Hay que rescatar positivo y como bien decía Sebastián, ya no va a pedir la renuncia de Wolf porque
se salvó.
Así que tenías toda la razón, te hizo caso, escuchó Fútbol en Vivo. Ojalá que nos escuche la próxima vez, porque realmente necesitamos. Pon a Quecuta un ratito, por favor, pon a Quecuta, dale 15 minutos, ¿no?
Sería interesante ponerlo como titular en algún
titular,
partido.
como le dijimos la primera vez, ¿no? Quecuta, porque Gallagher en realidad quedó al debe también. Gallagher también quedó al debe, ahí arriba. Y Pochettino, ¿para qué te digo? Porque para mí era candidato al cambio.
Sí, Pochettino como que todavía tiene miedo de jugar, o sea, no juega con confianza. Se me hace interesante que...
Eso siempre pasa cuando quiere jugar hacia atrás.
Sí.
Siempre un mediocampista quiere jugar hacia adelante, nunca hacia atrás. 10%, menos del 10% quiere jugar la pelota, pero le pidió ¿quién fue? Strauss, no sé qué le pidió a uno, juega atrás, y no le hizo caso. Y tiró mejor no hacerle caso a Pochettino, porque si no, van a jugar hacia atrás. No.
Sí, y esperemos que puedan arreglar esa situación, porque yo creo que Pochettino, como les digo, se ve como que le falta algo, ¿verdad? De vez en cuando sí hace unos pases increíbles, tiros libres increíbles, pero no sé, le falta algo, y espero que como ya mencionaste, ¿verdad? Ya seleccionar a alguien que el jugador del Monterrey Rayados, porque yo veo lo que pasó el año pasado con Celarayán, estaba en la banca con Tigres, no jugaba mucho, pidió que lo dejaran ir, se fue al Columbus y revolucionó al equipo y se hicieron campeones, ¿verdad? Okay. Y continúa este año, así que un jugador que no esté prestando atención en México puede ser una revelación aquí en MLS.
Vamos a ver si los scouts ahí de Sebastián ahí en la Liga NX nos recomienda algunos jugadores que hay muy buenos jugadores, ¿no? Pues sobre todo un chileno hizo un gol de Santos, un gol increíble.
Muy bueno.
Un hermoso gol en la final contra Cruz Azul. Y un jugador que no tiene ninguna validación en Chile, ¿no? Ni siquiera va a jugar en el equipo nacional.
El Cabecita Rodríguez.
No, el de Santos que hizo el gol.
Oh, perdón. Sí.
Rodríguez, no. El número 10.
El número 10, sí, perdón.
Sí. So, cuéntanos.